About a week ago, my mom and I were talking on the phone when it dawned on me that she made an error in calculation that a lot of people make with their investments. Now, my mom and I, we weren't talking about finances actually. We very rarely talk about finances. But she was commenting about how I had lost a lot of weight. She watches some of my YouTube videos. Years ago, she was concerned that I was gaining a lot of weight. Now she's concerned that I'm losing a lot of weight. And actually, I think she had mentioned one time that if I keep losing weight and I get fit, that if we were to go into World War III, they might draft me. She mentioned that at one point. I don't know why she would think that. I'm not terribly concerned about being drafted for World War III. I think if the nation needed it, I would go, so I'm not terribly concerned. I'd rather be healthy and fighting World War III than unhealthy and sitting at home. So I'm not terribly concerned about that. I think the probability of that happening is pretty low anyway. But, so she's happy that I'm losing weight. She's just worried about me losing more weight. Okay. Now the funny thing is that when I was at the beginning of the pandemic, we used to talk a lot more often. Both of us had mental health challenges at the beginning of the pandemic. I think we talked at least once a week, if not more. Now, at the time, I used to be very nervous about telling her about my fasting or my exercise regimens, right? At the time, I had a lot of time to go on long-distance walks, right? I was sleeping very well, but on my own timetable, right? Because I was out of work, unfortunately. And I actually slept very well at the beginning of the pandemic. And then I would often go out to walk. Sometimes it was dark outside and my mom would be worried about my safety. Sometimes she would just be worried about me overexerting myself and all that. But zoom out of it, oh, she's happy that I'm losing weight. Does that sound familiar with a lot of financial plans? You get nervous about gold correcting 5%, 10%. You get nervous about the beginning of the pandemic when everything crashed. You zoom out of it, oh my God, my 401k is better than ever. That's kind of unfortunate, right? So I can't tell my mom. I can only tell her every 6 months about my current situation. If I let her watch my ticker price all the time, she's just going to get nervous. And my grandmother is even more nervous about stuff like this, right? She gets nervous about me missing one meal, let alone trying to fast 24 hours. I learned the hard way. Fortunately, my grandmothers have both downsized their homes. My grandpa on my father's side, he passed away 10 years ago. And my grandmother says that she just can't stand looking at that home anymore. It just reminds her of the loss. So she downsized. And now I can't live in her apartment anyway, so I end up getting a hotel room and I get to do my intermittent fasting, my regimens and all that and not make her nervous. She also gets a little bit nervous when I mess with the wrong girl. You know, she has very high standards as well. And so now I can stay at a hotel and do that on my own. And when she looks back at it after I get into a relationship with the girl, she feels happy for me. She just can't watch. Just like the ticker price, right? You can only buy and hold. You can't watch the ticker price. Now, my mom and I got into a serious heated argument the other day because she doesn't believe you can stop eating. She thinks that you'll die without food. I'm not quick to dismiss that. Yes, nobody knows how to live without eating today, but I don't want to dismiss that idea. And she just got angry when I said that. And I think she's worried that I'm one day going to fast myself to death, which I have not dismissed that idea either, because we all have to go one way or another, right? And if I can go in a way that makes me feel happy, I would rather do that than to go in a way that I dislike, right? So for example, right now there's huge contentions about this drug that the pharmaceutical industry wants to push on us, right? And we might end up being locked up if we don't take this drug. Now, imagine that I'm locked up and they want to give this drug to me, or I could stop eating and go to heaven my own way in 2 months. Now, which one do you think I'm going to choose, right? Imagine that something were to happen where, extreme case, right? The punishment for not taking that drug is death, right? Would I rather go their way or my way, right? That's the way I like to look at it. So I haven't dismissed the idea of fasting myself to death, and I haven't dismissed the idea that humans can live without food. I really haven't. because I'm very open-minded. There was a time when we believed all sorts of things that we would find absurd today, right? The earth is flat, or that, oh, my favorite, we used to believe that the element fluorine couldn't exist as a free element in nature because of how reactive it was. There was a time when the periodic table was a whole lot smaller than it is today, right? I just celebrated the birthday of one of the discoverers of one of the elements, and I fasted 20 hours in her honor. It's going to do more, but the weather got a little bit more brutal, and I was living out of my car at the time. All right.